Over the past century, the Palestinian people have suffered horrible massacres at the hands of both their enemies as well as people masquerading as friends, the kind of friends that makes one prefer one's enemies. They have suffered in battles, they have suffered in wars, they have suffered as people being uprooted from their hearts and homes, they have suffered as second-class aliens in other countries, they have suffered as refugees, they have been made scapegoats for various problems that are endemic to their host nations. One massacre in which the Palestinians suffered particularly took place in Lebanon in August 1976. That place was called Tal al-Zatar. And the al-Zatar massacre took just one day, and more than 1,500, some estimate 3,000 people were killed in that one bloody day in August 1976. It was a massacre in which mankind was at its most unkind. One of the journalists who visited Tal al-Zatar first was Charles Glass, and he saw firsthand the kind of brutality that took place. According to him, he saw cars being run over, headless bodies of women and children. In 1987, as Charles Glass went back to Lebanon, he was abducted by Palestinian freedom fighters. He was then released. In fact, he wasn't released. He rigged his chains and somehow managed to come out of captivity by some miracle. 37 years later, I sat down with Charles Glass to reflect upon what converts people into the kinds of monsters that would take lives of other people, as it happened in Tal al-Zatar. Before that, I will give you a brief overview of how al-Zatar unfolded.
Kidnapped and held for 62 days.
How did you get out?
I escaped.
Who had you?
Stop us.
I don't know.
Stop. 2 seconds, please.
All right, 2 seconds, quick.
2 seconds. Come on.
One question.
How you escaped,
I rigged up my chain so I could get out, and I went out on a balcony and back into the apartment through another door, down the stairs, and out to the street, and got a family in a car at a bakery to give me a lift to the Summerland.
Were you mistreated?
No.
When do you go back to Lebanon?
Don't know.
Who was holding you, Charlie? And what did they
I don't know who was holding me. I really don't. I mean, guys, you know what they're like. Guys that look like you.
I was kidnapped in Lebanon in the summer of 1987. After 62 days, I escaped. But the kidnapping was only one small part of a long experience of a country I had grown close to. I had lived there, I studied there, I worked there. My grandmother was born there, and she had already given me a fondness for it before I first went there in the summer of 1972. I was 21 years old. I had no idea then I would stay so long, no notion that I would become a journalist, that I would witness the beginning of a war which is yet to end, that my friends would be killed, that the time would come when I couldn't return.
Now the people of Tal al-Zatar were sharing the cruel fate of Christians from the village of Damour who had been killed, made refugees, and seen their homes destroyed by Palestinians. From Tal al-Zatar, thousands of people escaped to the relative safety of Muslim West Beirut. They had no homes, nowhere to go. Some would be crippled, physically or mentally, for life. So many of them arrived only to discover their husbands, wives, or children had been left behind. To those who could not get out, the Christians showed no mercy.
There was a massacre called Quarantina, I believe. Quarantina massacre. Then there was the Al Damour massacre. Then there was the Tal Az-Zatar massacre, which all ended with the Sabra and Shatila. The word genocide is used to describe these things, but you've studied philosophy. I've also studied a bit of philosophy. Personally, I don't understand how far it is right to use that word genocide, because if you take one human being and another human being from another nation, the gene pool is not that different. The gene pool of human beings is almost the same as compared to the gene pool of one species of animals and another species of animals. In any case, whether I'm right or wrong, what, in your opinion, drives people to such madness? I think you covered the Al-Zatar massacre.
When people go into conflict, take up arms, they find that they're capable of doing things that they would not have done before. And the more that they are exposed to violence and committing violence, the more extreme that violence can and does become. I've covered wars in, I think I've lost you. I've covered wars most of my life, actually, most of my adult life. And I've never covered one that didn't have massacres, rape, looting, burning of houses, killing of children. That's what happens. When you choose to go to war, that's what you choose. That is your commitment. As one of the prosecutors, Hartman Shawcross, said at the Nuremberg trials, war is the evil from which all those other evils proceed. And you cannot go to war without all of that. We're seeing it today in Ukraine. We're seeing it today in Gaza. You launch a war, you're going to kill a lot of innocent people. And the young men you send to do that will commit massacres. It's inevitable, and it always happens.
More than half a century ago, the Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran wrote as though he foresaw what Lebanon would do to itself. Pity the nation that is full of beliefs and empty of religion. Pity the nation that raises not its voice save when it walks in a funeral, boasts not except among its ruins. Pity the nation divided into fragments, each fragment deeming itself a nation.